Good morning. Today is Tuesday, March 11th. This is Wake Up with KERA News, and I'm Andrew Garcia. Grab your shades because it's going to be clear and sunny across North Texas today. Temperatures could reach the low 80s. Deadly high-speed police chases can sometimes lead departments to make policy changes or take corrective action, but the loved ones of the people killed are still left to deal with the aftermath. We'll hear more of that story right after today's news. A Texas House committee is hearing testimony this morning on a bill that would allow families to use taxpayer money to cover the cost of private school. The Texas Senate passed its own school voucher plan last month, and it's one of Governor Greg Abbott's top priorities this year. But opponents say considering the measure is a waste of time, and that the legislature should instead focus on improving public schools. Hundreds of educators also gathered at the state capitol yesterday to protest the school voucher bills. Experts are trying to dispel a rumor that vitamin A is a suitable replacement for the measles vaccine. Dr. Katherine Troisi is an infectious disease expert with UT Health. She says while vitamin A can help lessen long-term effects of the disease, the measles vaccine, or MMR shot, is the most effective protection against the disease. High-speed police chases can sometimes be a necessary risk in law enforcement, but they have increasingly deadly consequences on the officers and drivers involved, and even those who aren't involved. The deadliest and most damaging police pursuits have led to discipline, lawsuits, and policy changes in Texas. But as KERA's Tolawani Osibamawo reports, more important are the loved ones of victims who are left behind.
Sweeping the dirt off her son's grave never gets easier for Irma Harrison, but she takes good care of his plot.
I had people thinking I was sleeping at the gravesite.
Last March, Harrison, her family, and friends gathered to release balloons in memory of her son, Armani Franklin, at his grave. The 19-year-old's favorite color was blue, so dry flowers on his blue and gold headstone were swapped for a fresh blue and white bouquet, and the group released a cluster of blue, white, and yellow balloons into the sky.
1, 2, 3, let it go.
Love you, Money.
Love you, money.
That month marked 3 years since Franklin's death during a police chase. His friend was behind the wheel of a stolen Dodge Charger that hit a dip during the chase and smashed into a tree. Most police departments warn officers to consider whether the alleged crime warrants the danger of a high-speed chase. But even when chases are warranted, that outcome can leave families and communities mourning people like Franklin, who wasn't even behind the wheel. And time hasn't been healing for Harrison.
It really impacted me to see a half of my whole gone, because I don't have that no more, and I can't bring it back.
Chases can also leave people who would otherwise be charged with lower-level crimes facing harsher sentences. Franklin's friend Damian Daniels survived the crash. Daniels says he bought the car from a family member and he didn't know it was stolen. He pleaded guilty to manslaughter in 2023 for his role in Franklin's death. Daniels spoke to KERA News in an interview from state jail.
I wasn't tripping on I got a manslaughter, but it's just I'm getting charged with my best friend manslaughter, I did that, so it's like I got to man up to that.
Some experts say police shouldn't begin a chase over stolen property or other non-violent crimes, and some argue people accused of crimes are more likely not to speed if they don't know they're being pursued. High-speed chases also put other uninvolved drivers at risk. That's what happened when a stolen car led to another fatal police chase in Fort Worth. 57-year-old Andre Craig was killed in 2023 when witnesses say an officer in a high-speed chase blew a red light and hit Craig's car. Nefertari Mundy is Craig's sister.
My father's lost his oldest son, and we've lost our brother. And so we've all lost something over something that can be replaced.
Craig's father is now suing the city over the crash, and so are 2 other people who were injured. For others, the grief of losing a loved one in a fatal pursuit can be an opportunity for other kinds of action. That's the case for Esther Seowanis. Her husband was killed in 2012 when a man ran a red light and crashed into his car while fleeing from police.
My husband was killed for stolen property. That is not okay. I decided that I needed to find a way to change the system that isn't working for our communities to keep them safer.
So she joined the national nonprofit Pursuit Safety. The group isn't against all chases. They support tougher penalties for those who flee the police. But Pursuit Safety also advocates in court cases and in state houses for safer chases.
If a chase has to occur, it needs to occur safely. It needs to occur with the understanding that we are impacting our community every time we do it.
Seowanis says Texas and the country have a long way to go in making chases safer, but she says it starts with having the conversation to figure out how.
That was KERA's Tolawani Osibamowo reporting. The Mavericks ended their losing streak in their game against the San Antonio Spurs last night, 133-129. Despite the encouraging win, the Mavs are still riddled with injuries, finishing a game this past Sunday with only 7 healthy players. That's less than half their full roster. Unlike the Mavs, though, Texas Tech sophomore forward J.T. Toppin is at the top of his game. See what I did there? He's at the top of his game. His last name's Toppin. What I mean to say, puns aside, is that he is very good at basketball, so good that coaches in the Big 12 voted him as both the league's player and newcomer of the year, and he's the first player in the league's 29 seasons to receive both in the same year. Big shout out and congrats to JT. Many schools and colleges have some days off for spring break this week, but you don't have to be on spring break to enjoy the Perot Museum during its extended hours this month. Check out exhibits like the Glow Lab, and when you're ready to take a break, you can find food and drink options on the plaza. For more information and a ton of other fun things to do, visit kera.org/calendar. Thanks so much for listening to Wake Up with KERA News. I'm your host, Andrew Garcia. This show is produced and edited by Shardae White and Bekah Morr. For more news in your inbox, visit kera.org/wakeup. That's where you can subscribe to the Wake Up with KERA News newsletter and get good morning vibes from our colleague Catherine Hobbs. Connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at KERATX. Have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow.